That's a good one. That's a good one. Oh God, it's a toad, son. It's a f***ing toad, dude.
Let's go. I wake up to a little bit of drool on my pillow, feel like it's gonna be a bad day.
What's going on? I'm just laughing. It's like fishing intros. We should have. It wasn't like
Yeah. We're going to talk a little bit about white bass, but we're also going to talk heavily about to the North Carolina F1 program. Seth Mycko, the snake killed by No, welcome back to the OneCast. We're going to talk heavily about North Carolina, the state of the F1 bass. You know, we have the stocking program here with F1, some of our lakes. Some of you have donated some money to that. So we have a little bit of an update to that and whatever else you want to talk about. So some of your questions that we got answered and go through all that. Before we do, we got to make sure we shout out all those that make this possible and help us bring you content every week. We started with OneCast Fishing. You know, over to OneCastFishing.com. Use the code TheOneCast. What are you doing? Use the code. You're trying to use the code TheOneCast. All one word to check out. Save money. Snack, jig, longneck hooks, weedless nets, and all soft plastics. There's also, I think, some of our gear remaining. Probably these more hats. Not too just use I think we're sold out. Oh, we're sold out. So I need to look.
maybe a shirt.
Okay, so you can check it out.
Extra small.
Yeah. From there, you need to head to Hobie Eyewear using the link that we provide. Grab yourself some floating frames. I'm trying to remember. Just a great job. Grab yourself some floating frames. They're called floats, so you don't lose any glasses while you're up in the water. You can just go to hobieeyewear.com. Pay full price. You can use the link that we post all the time. Save yourself a coin. Get them delivered to the house. Take advantage of the lifetime warranty. Break them. I did actually have to use them for a lens issue, and I get special treatment. I hit up their warranty and had to repair in a couple days. So make sure you check out Hobie Eyewear. Deep Dive app and whatever your app store is, Google Play, Apple App Store. So, download that for your phone when you're getting out there on the water. Information, things like where the points are, where you might have water running in, if you're getting some rain, lake levels, water clarity, lots of information. We heard us talk about it, heard a lot of pros talk about it. NC.com, you can go to OneCast, check out all one word, save yourself some coin on that PPF gear, hats, casual wear, gloves, all the good stuff. Check them out, Carolina, NC.com. And last but not least, if you're looking for a home or property set for North Carolina, make sure you get our friend Terry Carpenter. We call him Uncle Terry. Licensed realtor with Howard Perry and Walston, Banker. Terry will help you find the home of your dreams, property to build, whatever it is you're looking for as a bass angler. He knows what we're looking for. Make sure you get on Terry Carpenter. Carpenter at leastpw.com, or go to our link tree, which link is link tree. We'll give you all this stuff over and everything. So, get the link tree section. I think I got it.
You got it all. You got it all.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
I would mess up a couple times.
You did it. All right. First of all, I'm trying to like the news.
Trader's trying to get some props.
I got to get some props. I mean, I obviously have that OneCast fishing right here.
That's the one I like.
This has a special place in my heart. You know, I was talking about one of the other tackle manufacturers from the Central North Carolina area, and he was talking about going to ICAST. We went there one time. It was 2022. It was a cool experience and stuff, but this little jig right here is a special place in my heart because you get fishing behind like pros.
And Trey snacks, jig.
Well, to be fair, we are no. To be fair, they have like nylon ropes on that stuff. So I mean, it's the worst rope possible. Yeah, it was 100%
much better.
Way better, way better. But this snagless jig right here holds a special place in my heart. This is the bluish. Oh, is that still the color? Blue Magic. Yeah. This is a great jig. Yeah, I love this. And then I had to pull out those sunglasses. They're not, but our travel partners last year got me those for them. gas station. Oh, yeah, little cat glasses and stuff. But yeah, man, I'm excited for this week's episode. It's been a while since we've done like an episode of Fisheries Florida Largemouth, holding us down and stuff like that. But I think it's important to talk about what we're talking about. You know, we're not only the tournament recap outdoor podcasts, we love to talk about the health of our fisheries and all the different varieties and variety of varieties. So I'm excited for it. Real quick before we jump into that, I'm wearing the Special Operations Basking, which I love to wear it all the time. But November 7th on Lake Norman, if you guys are in the area, we have the Special Operation, or they have the Special Operations Basking charity event. It's a big one-day tournament. Always the Friday before Veterans Day. Show up, man. You can pay at the ramp, or you can pre-register on the Facebook page and stuff like that by sending them a message or whatever. It's a great time. It goes towards a great cause. This year it's in memory of Chief Petty Officer Shannon Kent, who was killed in January 2019 in Manbig, Syria. A lot of the proceeds go towards Gold Star family members. And then rewind 1 week, November 1st, to Warrior Fishing. We got an event on Sharon Harris, a multi-species event. It's going to be out of Ross Point this time, right? Where's it out? Holland. Just go to warriorfishing.org and sign up for that. You can take veterans fishing and get out and fish. It's a good time of the year. It's a lot of pleasure boats around for that.
One thing on the special operations bass anglers, if you're listening, folks that have to back out. So get us up, DM us. Oh,
Mike will be there, but it doesn't
we
mean
can
we
probably still get
one
one or
or
two. So if you need to travel and you're worried about arrangements, shoot us a DM. Somebody we know. I'll just listen to any person off the internet and stay with us. But if you're somebody who's been hanging around the show for a while and is interacting with us, we'll let you know. We can also get you hooked up with some other houses. We have a group of folks with big partner team tournament. It's a ton of fun. And then we'll take a warrior fishing event the week before. They'll pair you up with a warrior. You can just take them out and fish whatever you want. Train out, we run around. Just do like
Yeah, probably something like that.
right. Yeah, we'll be out there. So looking forward to those. But that's enough about that.
Wait a minute, no random people can like say it.
I'm just
not like an OnlyFans like celebrity.
I wouldn't know if they were.
We need to start an OnlyFish. That's what we need to start. OnlyFish.
Well, according to a bunch of people on our Facebook, we made a post about the phone. Apparently, I need to make people wanted to have a free membership to that.
I'm so glad you brought that
If
up.
you all let us know the content you want me to put on the internet, like we can maybe earnings. He is the big bear. Right.
It is bear season.
This isn't the podcast to talk about. I have a good story.
We are men. See, no, I'm just kidding.
I
I
have a
get
good
it.
story. I'll try to get on that online. That might be that might be for the Fishing Friday Patreon we're talking about.
You know, I'm glad you said what you said about that, that post on the community page. Hey, listen, if you're not a member of the community page on Facebook, go sign up for it. That's the way that we eliminate like fake accounts and stuff. We'll approve you if you're a real account to join the community page. But we do have an upcoming giveaway that we're going to get scheduled here in the near future before Christmas time. And thankfully, our buddy Nick Kincaid from Carolina Waters and Kincaid Home Maintenance brought in a Bubba fish scale that we're going to be giving away. And we might have some other things to give away too. But if you go on that community page, you're going to see a lot of information come out about our giveaways and stuff. And then obviously our Fishing Friday lives that we post as consistent as we can. So make sure you jump on those two platforms and keep supporting the show. That's why people bring us products so that we can donate to you. So we appreciate the support. So, yeah.
So if you've listened to the show for any length of time, you've probably gone back and heard Seth Mycko just joining us. I'm going to let him tell his title. I don't remember exactly what it was. But he's a biologist with some North Carolina. What do we call it here? NCWRC, North Carolina Wildlife Resources Commission. He's a fish biologist, so he's over some of the lakes. So we're going to talk about F1s. So Seth, introduce yourself.
Yeah. What's up, guys? So thanks for having me back. I I'm District 5 fisheries biologists too. So every district, about 10, 11 counties in it, there's 2 biologists in each district. Taking District 5.
Oh,
Got 9 districts statewide, so that's 8 biologists. That's it throughout the state. That's the big actually on the sport fish side.
Are you a hunter?
Yeah, years ago.
Yeah, not as much.
Hey, some things are funny in person.
something.
How many bodies of water?
State.
What do you have just in District 5?
In District 5 is 23 reservoirs, and that includes Gaston for sea roads.
Okay.
But if they're open to the public,
And what big reservoirs?
Mycko and Mayo are. So we try to get those.
Yeah. You're supposed to go out with some fish on last year.
Yeah. So
One of these days we're gonna make it.
Yeah.
But I know you wanted to come on. We've been talking for a couple months now. Just want to talk. I just kick it off with the F1 program. Quick recap of what it is again. And
Yeah.
You brought a bunch of info to share.
I
So
do, yeah. We've crested the million finger mark statewide. So between North Gaston and Norman, we've now stocked over 1 million 3 to 5 inch finger marks. Most of those have been in the oldest market. And we're going to stock at least 3 million too. And that's all we're going to do right now. Come back and try to recollect this fish off.
So is the end of 26 next year over the last year? So is that just a funding?
Yeah, it's mainly just it's cost of matter. So
And then it'll just be studies.
yeah, and then we'll be out there every spring to see us out there collecting fish and everything. There's really no way to visually identify those fish from regular largemouth that are already in the lake prior to stocking. So we have to end up with the same.
I did
We're
teach
actually
trade.
doing a lot of that for the genetics working house. So we don't have to send that out.
Oh, and I think that was one of the things we spoke about last time. It's been over here, right around here. You said that part of the issue there was having to send it off to. I think you said down to Alabama. Or
Yeah, it's all
all around.
yeah. So hopefully that timeline will get shrinked up.
So now we have the ability to do it here.
Yeah, yeah. It's like part of the federal issue.
So yeah, DNA is the only. There is another way. You have to. That's true.
It's so not.
It's not true, and don't act. So, do you have numbers per lake, like
I do.
roughly?
Well, let's for those who may have joined us since that long last time, break down what the program is, what are the competition, what's the state we're all trying to accomplish.
Why and why?
Yeah.
There's 62.
Rewind the clock all the way back to 2017, sticking out in the lake. It's kind of where this originated in our Virginia started stocking spent population and several other reservoirs in Virginia. And they actually have seen some success of that. They have some, but there was sweet anglers that originally got behind it in the line, mainly for the Norman area. And they funded the first group of stocking that like 3%. We're making a whole research project. We're tracking fish. We should be able to what cohort they are based on how old they are.
Well, I guess Norman started as a but is that pre or post bucket biologist putting spot bass?
That was post, yeah. And they're not really, we've had a lot of people say, oh, they're going to compete with the slots better without no gas. We don't really think it's more yeah, more large now, and hopefully more aggressive.
What year were they started? You said
Like 2021 was the first year.
so would you expect to start seeing some of those turn up as early as stuff at this point, or
Yeah, I think so. You're gonna see some of our folks out there at least.
We gotta make sure we have some.
So,
Make sure.
yeah,
I will say that I've noticed, at least in the last 18 months or so, it seems like there's been more back for the largemouth more consistently. I don't know if it's related or not, but it'll be interesting when the data start coming back.
Where's the drop that? That's the key.
Yeah, they're pretty much like flat, sites of the river, sites of that creek, Random Creek going in there, and then, Davidson Creek all the way back.
Oh, yeah.
So how
Clear past the bridge.
How do you identify the release points? Is it something that provides the cover needed for the finger?
Yeah, a lot of it was just our history on the way, just the sites that we had the best fishing results for largemouth. We're gonna be going back to those places anyway, so we want to put them in places that we can try to reflect this fishing. Because hopefully they'll be consistent with what we do.
I think it's important for those new listeners like Ben talked about. You know, if you haven't listened to the first couple of shows with Corey and Seth, like go back and listen to those. But you know, just to make it clear, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think I'm spot on here. Like the introduction of an F1 bass has nothing to do with killing off the Alabama bass.
That's exactly right.
And that in any NCWRC lake that you go to, for the most part, I've seen it all of them so far. Maybe not the Chevy years, but like you have big signs out front of the ramps that tell you exactly what you need to do, what you need to look out for with the Alabama stuff.
Yeah, and basically right now at this point we're saying you call or such a catch. I don't care if it's 5 or 6 times.
Okay.
Make sure.
And I am 100% guilty of throwing back.
Yeah, and you know, at some places they're good at staying.
Yeah.
Think about that, especially in Northern places like that. But if you're at a city like Versailles County, catch yeah, or even keep it.
I would keep it.
If you think it's,
I would keep
if you think it's something different, it doesn't look a little bit.
I mean, I've sent you some pictures. I know you can't tell just from pictures.
Yeah.
Sometimes you see a largemouth and stuff look right. I can't. Sad, Corey. I know you can't tell from a picture, but just so you know, like, this one word.
Yeah, that tooth patch. Anywhere you don't have smallmouth bass, that tooth patch on the top. The smallmouth is complicated.
Because remember, you can't tell the age of the regular.
Nah.
Because the watch rate,
The
keep
top
the
of
heat.
Heat on.
Gotta measure
That's
the
a
heat.
lot, but a lot of interbreeding going on with those two.
Which is why you just say it is an Alabama bass, but it's just at this point a spot is a spot. You can't put it in.
Yeah.
So before we move on to like the actual data that you brought and stuff, just for the audience, can you break down why those 3 lakes that you talked about have those reviews?
Yes, they're on a trophic gradient. Whole different conversation, but basically how many nutrients flow into those lakes for fertility, and then Norman being the lowest on that scale. Gaston being the intermediate level.
So you're talking about fertility of the lake overall.
Yeah.
Overall health of the lake, for lack of a better term.
Yeah, and a general rule is the dirtier the water, the more you're going to get the higher.
See,
Typically, it means the big fishing.
so there's no question that Jordan. I think that was one of the questions that a couple of anglers that we know actually asked us. But, well, how do you know if it's nutrient heavy versus not? And you talked about water clarity being one of those
Yeah.
reasons. Is that the primary reason?
Yeah, that's a good rule. And we wanted to see how this fishing situation.
Sure.
And hopefully that'll help guide our shop. Okay. Started their decision. So,
And if you think about it, like Jordan, there's no river, like, no dam above it. So it's all going on. We're at farm.
Yeah.
It's got how many dams are above farm?
Oh, for the whole
Yeah.
system. Yeah, you got
I don't know.
above there.
Catawba, right?
Yeah, tall.
And so like, I know it's outside of area,
You
but
got 4 to 6.
Hillary is more nutrient dense than Baden.
Yeah, like we get, you've already closed frac there without any, dams or anything above it. So it's probably a little higher, higher up, higher. Yeah, higher. Yeah.
So 21 Gaston, or Norman, sorry, was 23 when we started together, 2 or 3?
Yeah, 23.
So 23 Gaston. So what are some fish numbers?
So
So a little bit.
So we had 23 at all 3 lakes at Norman, and 130,000 out here, 120,000 in Georgia, and then 65,000. Third also does gas, 101,000 gas, 65,000. It's about a 5 fish per acre. Okay. And that changes with about 5 fish.
Yeah, and to break that down for the audience, if you know nothing about Lake Norman, I think it's around 44,000 acres.
About 32.
Or 32,000 acres. And then Gaston is at that 20,000 acre
Yeah,
mark.
just shy.
And then Jordan is right at that like 14,000 acre mark. Yeah.
Okay. So more fishing. So it's about the same rate.
Okay. And folks, if you fish tournaments here in North Carolina, or probably anywhere, but specifically what we're talking about, you will notice the biologists that a lot of the tournament weigh-ins do take these fin samples and stuff. And I wanted to ask you, is that something that you guys search out as biologists, or is that something that tournament directors are really good at relaying to y'all? Like, hey, like, we're having a tournament, we'd like you to show up, so on and so forth.
Yeah, me being a bass head off the clock helps with that, because I know what's going up. I can play other dogs tournaments on. Because the more votes, the better. That will increase our chances of fish. Sure. But we've had several tournament records show as well. So, just right now, okay. And of course, they're all on Saturdays. That's open Saturday.
Sure. No, I think it's really important. I'm glad that some tournament directors are reaching out to you guys. I mean, like, you guys mentioned in the past that we're, anglers, you're an angler, like, we're kind of a year, maybe more, depending, like, understanding the health of the fishery. There's a difference between healthy fishery and then, what was it? Like a healthy fishery and or good fishing and a good fishery. Right?
Yeah.
There's 2 different things.
Exactly.
So tournament anglers sometimes have a very biased perspective on the lake themselves. Sharon Harris being one of them. But like it's good that they're reaching out to you because like that's what we want, right? Like we want to protect our waters and make sure that they don't catch fish and so on and so forth. So if you're a tournament angler, whether or not you're part of Five Alive or the Cat or Piedmont Bass Classics now Elevate Outdoors, so on and so forth, like reach out to the biologists here because they want to come out and they need to get this.
Yeah, you can just Google and see that there's sea biologists, fish biologists, maximum first. Okay. Stay by that.
Okay. So 2023, you have numbers there, so
Yeah.
What about last year? And then I assume you already stopped.
Yeah.
Stocking back
in June. So they hatch them at hatchery with the group stock, are 100% Florida bass, 100% northern bass, because that's all changed now. So I really want to get dirty. But the group stock, they put them in the same pond, and the eggs, they make the eggs and the fertilized eggs, and all that happens. Then those fry, actually, so those fry. So that's American good job.
Okay. So those are all like under the ASFA. Is that what that is? Like the American Sport Fishing Association?
So it's a brown.
Yeah. I was just wondering what kind of like $600 fees you got to pay to get an access. All right.
And like you on a pond, you purchase.
Oh. Well, if they're looking at this, like, if they would have done like,
Yeah. We'll get some research on that. We might focus on that.
I like that. So Ben was talking about 2024. What were the numbers that we put in our list of 24?
Had a lot of fish for the fish. We get almost 7 fish per acre. Okay. So it's over 200,000. 140,000.
And then, of those, and obviously we're going to get 2025 numbers, but like, based on your guys' assessment, like, of those that are introduced, like, what's the percent survival rate?
I think we'll be lucky to hit 30. 2030 will be
Much better than I thought.
We should have a good idea if we model out. We estimate that we can put much of fish.
What's the number one reason?
Oh,
Who is it? Is it the
Probably the
cormorants?
no.
It's not. It's not.
That's
You gotta
complicated.
get the
So you have to get a lot of
to
dollars.
increase that.
I'm federal.
Oh, so you're getting permission?
I bet the years that, especially in if it's late summer, but water events and the grain late summer, like drops like a rock. I bet that's not the best route.
No worries.
Just swing around.
It's probably gradually bulbous.
Around. Really want small ponds. And Norman, they probably happy fish with all the docks and all that puts the time. Seeing a little higher, so should be able to.
And then you'll stock, what did we do this year? 25, similar.
Yeah, we get 4.5 this spring. I think as time is going on and the thing, not quite, people haven't excited about it. So,
Yeah, I actually see it advertised.
drops. Yeah, and there's been some changes at the vaccination. To get much more get just under 5 this year. So it's just under 60,000 or 9,000.
And what's the projection for next year? Roughly.
Not yet. Yeah, that's probably still all. But hopefully we'll get that 5.
Well, pretty good.
And that'll be the last year.
When you said, maybe 20% survive, is that survival to how they have?
Oh, that could be, 18 years and something. 16-year-old door. So,
Well, that's a long time.
yeah.
No, but I mean, like, count the survival at 1 year of age, 12 years of age.
Yeah, we call it recruitment to the fishery about age 2.
Okay.
So you make it age 2.
So you're talking, you're talking 20, let's say 20% in Jordan said around that. We're talking 60,000 fish.
Yeah, I mean, next year or two,
Eventually.
It's actually, I think there'll be a lot more sources of competition at Jordan. The other fish around, and the native bass do so well, it's fine there anyhow. They'll have a lot bigger.
That's a question I wanted to ask you, especially on Jordan, is so many times we catch bigger fish on Jordan that don't look like they should be as big as they are. They don't have the frame yet.
Yeah.
And I think we might have talked about that last time. You'll catch a 6-pounder that has a 4-pound fish frame. Like the head's not right.
Yeah.
I think because of so much food and that nutrient load you're talking about. So do you suspect there's potential to see those F1s earlier there than you will at other lakes?
Yeah, that'll be really interesting finding it when you see them.
Because what do you think, like
Especially
3
tournament
years
things, Yeah,
roughly from when they're stocked to when you might see them in a tournament? Buddy?
Yeah. yeah, we've seen, we had one that was like 16 inches at age 3 before we started.
So at Jordan, the way that those fish seem to grow, there's potential that you could see those fish next year.
Yeah.
Already.
Yeah.
Or already.
And
Yeah.
they're marketed as 25%.
Okay.
So,
So if you're seeing 3-year-olds at 16 at 25, so you can see that.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
And we're definitely gonna fact check that advertisement.
So-
we should be able to set out how much faster their growth is versus the next.
So tournament angling is obviously huge, but there's a lot of rec anglers as well. The guys just like catch fish on the weekend. Is there any way that they can help? Is there a way they can reach out to you and get a fin clip kit, provide samples to you? And we're going to get into more of the technical stuff, but just while we're here, I think it's a good time to ask. I know we've been asked, hey, how can we help? We don't fish tournaments, do we catch fish? You know, is there something we can do?
Yeah, if they're willing to keep the whole fish, you know, you just release that whole fish and we can get it from it later. But if you just want to keep a little vial of ethanol in the boat, like some rubbing alcohol, probably 90% of the alcohol, and just take a clip of that little, throw it in the rubbing alcohol. Process it.
They put those, you buy probably 100,000 pack of that little test tube things on
Yeah.
Amazon to get you some rubbing alcohol, throw them in the boat.
Yeah.
And if you want to try to help provide that, click that picture open. And if you don't know what that is, just Google it.
Yeah. It don't matter. The fin really doesn't matter where you get hold of it. It don't matter how big.
Yeah, so there's a way. I know some folks that's how they.
Just don't clip the tail.
Yeah, that would not.
Yeah, especially on small fish.
Yeah. So, next steps. We're gonna start more studies on Norman. You think this year?
Yeah, so we are going to be in electric boat for a lot of hours in the next 5 years. Every spring, we're going to be doing at least 30 sites that will, I think they have at least 20 every spring.
For the next 5 years.
For at least 30.
So starting in 26.
Yeah, we started that last year.
Yeah, I knew we talked because you kind of rotated through the lakes, so you didn't do Jordan every year. But now you're saying
Now
we are.
you're going to see our electric boat at Jordan next year. So,
We got to make sure.
way to us.
We got to make sure we get out.
So tournament anglers, don't just follow the electric shock.
That's not a good idea. Yeah. About 500 people.
I mean, here's just a curious question. After you shock a fish, you take a sample, put it back in the water. Shock the crap out of it.
Yeah, I don't know if there's been studies on that or not. I imagine it's a pretty stressful process.
Sure.
I bet it's a few days. And we have had complaints of success days after. So I'm not going to deny that we don't have some sort of impact, but we're definitely not killing the fish. They are coming back. We're at least not alive.
I think that's a good point to bring up. Like you see a lot of hate towards NCWRC and everybody wants to then share longer. Our biologists, people don't care about it. They care about it. Yeah. I know we all want to go catch fish, but they strategically do this in the spring because the fish are the healthiest first time. So the mortality rate is going to be lower when they stress those fish out the shop. So while it might suck that your favorite creek is a little slow one day, or your magic bank, you probably found because you saw the shot put on that day in 1972. But you got to let these folks do their job because it's the only way they continue to get this fishery. And 60,000 F1 potentially surviving. That's just a rough number, 20% survival.
Yeah.
That's a lot of dang fish that are going to grow faster, should in theory grow bigger, are going to crossbreed with the existing northern strain.
Yeah.
You get some of those qualities that pass through. So, all in all, Jordan, Gaston, and Norman should all become healthier fisheries, which then will lead to better fishing.
Yeah. Yes. I'm not sure that way long term, like 30 plus years now. But
And why is that?
well, then spot has to start with small.
Yeah, you've had this debate.
Yeah. Right. I know it's good right now. It's gonna.
There's a honeymoon phase with this
Yeah.
podcast. And we're going to get to a point where there's so many that they essentially are stunning.
Yeah.
And all you're going to catch is pound 1, 2 pound. Yeah. And you might go catch 200 of them.
Yeah.
But they're all going to be that size.
Yeah.
and we get in spirited conversations with a lot of anglers. I've sent some of them your way.
That's all right. Yeah.
They were like, "Give me that guy's number," and I'm like, "He'll talk to you." But there's a honeymoon, and it's the same like people talk about. What they'll impact smallmouth, we're still catching the James. Those aren't really smallmouth.
No, they're not.
When you said it's been years since you're smallmouth.
Yeah, they're caught 1 or 2 here and there, but they really have that smallmouth.
Do you really think because of Gaston and the way that the structure sets up the vegetation is, do you really think it's going to affect the largemouth, or is it only going to affect the size of the spots?
That's a great question. It's probably one to really watch going forward. Kind of so much habitat, so much life attention. Maybe the largemouth when I get there better than that. But it's still process.
I would say the worry has to be you just get so many spots that they start to move into those
that
not traditional spot areas. They start eating in the shallow grass and overtaking the habitat.
Or the largemouth?
It's not that similar. So whether they I don't think they eat them.
I mean, they may not be able to eat it up. I'm just wondering if because of the way that Gaston's set up and being a current-driven lake in a lot of sense, right? You're still catching giant stock shad. Like catch 3.5, 4. I caught a 6-pounder out of there this year. I should have kept it and got it mounted on the wall. But you're welcome for whoever catches it again. I tell you what, if I catch 1 6-pounder above, I'm mounting. But I was just wondering, obviously, Jordan Lake has no docks. Obviously, Norman and Gaston are very similar in nature when it comes to the habitat outside of the vegetation. Who's got a price of in Norman at some point, but I just, if you start getting those like finger mullet size spotted bass, which you do have them in both of those lakes, like I can't imagine a large one not. But I don't know how they affect the brim, how they affect the gizzard shad, the threadfin, and so on. So
there's a lot of competition with largemouth at the same size blacks. They're not really swimming in the same school. So that's where you really lose the largemouth that are the same size as the blue rocks. They're probably just that battle. We've already seen our biggest range from location. Alabama.
So look, anybody continue to trim. This is my public service now.
yes,
The heat service. Do not play bucket biologist to Jordan with daggum spotted bass, because we have what is one of the best big fish factories in the country. They might not be catching teeter. Falls too. We're talking about incest area. I'm going to help you here. Don't do it, because you will destroy that place. And we will have a period of time where it'll be cool because you'll get a bunch of big spots. But on that lake, I can promise you they will stun in a hurry. If you see it on Harris, we talk about it, the largemouth will stun it there because lack of pressure, lack of keeping with the slot, which is now gone, which hopefully will help that. And if you think it's bad with a largemouth there, what do you see with the spotted? I know you all want to argue with us that you don't understand how that can happen because they're 6 pounds now. I don't think people realize how these fish reproduce and how they compete everything.
And if you've had kids and grandkids that like bass fishing, they are. I was just about to open that door. So now there's only one river drainage that does not have alcohol bass. If I catch, oh, really? Yeah, they're in the thing below the lake now, Creek, and they're probably just in I thought they were. No, those are spotted bass. Yeah, that's actual spots. Yeah, they were stocked in the 60s. They came from the same area originally back in biology.
Yeah.
So that was way long ago before the
channel cats.
But those actually, we think that those last summer, maybe the summer before that summer, those came back and it's pretty.
Yeah, those we do the Kentucky. problem.
Yeah. So
I've never. I've heard guys.
But you're opening that door to the problem.
and we're not sure about salinity either, how salt tolerant.
How far down, you know.
Like, know how good our fisheries down there are.
I would start thinking people though.
So, you know, that
Yeah.
is true.
So,
That will be interesting to figure out, because I think a lot of the largemouth, they've got a lot of Florida.
yeah, we actually,
It's, I mean,
Here's the
Florida's
scary,
had salt water.
the scary thing of them being in Roanoke and not knowing where that line is. That opens them up to show them the entire Albemarle Sound, all the way to the alligator potentially that they handle this thing.
yeah,
We don't know
we don't know where that line is.
if it exists. They could be like a largemouth where they can handle all the way to
And
the
they-
alligator river.
They came obviously up the chain, but I mean, the last lake in the chain before the Roanoke River starts was Roanoke Rapids, right?
Yeah, there's no telling if they washed over floods.
Yeah, I don't think that was an introduction thing.
I
I
doubt
would imagine
Yeah,
that
it was probably fried.
But Roanoke Rapids, if people don't know, is that your area too?
No, that's
No.
just free.
Roanoke Rapids, and this is free, but they got some giant spot. They got great largemouth in there too,
Yeah.
but man, I'll tell you what, like
Yeah.
there's more.
Yeah.
You want to talk about
Yeah.
the Roanoke River system is about as fertile as I've ever seen anything, right? Like, I mean,
Yeah.
there's more crawfish, brim, shad, frogs, you name it. Like those spots, if they're in there, they're gonna. Hopefully, they die off with a strong east wind, pushes in there,
Yeah.
and everything. But the thing about that system, though, and I'm hoping this is what saves it, is everything down there is so close.
Yeah.
Everything.
Yeah.
Right. To
Yeah.
include the stripers. You get clown up there, you get redfish, you get all sorts of stuff. So, and do you know, can they hatch?
That's something that the coastal logs is working on, and it's a big problem.
There's signs down there. Every ramp
Yeah.
down in the road in the Albemarle Sound that I've seen, every
Yeah.
ramp has, hey, it's Alabama spotted basketball.
Yeah.
Dang.
So Cape Fear is our last, the triangle in particular,
So I got bad news.
is our last holdout.
According to ChatGPT,
No,
Alabama spotted bass in North Carolina, largemouth.
slightly.
These things are like shocking.
They are, they're the best invader.
8 to 10 ports per 1,000.
Yeah. That's news to me.
Oh,
So that's what AI says.
I really, I'm pretty fortunate that you might. So I hopefully that's not true.
Don't introduce them to these.
Yeah, but Dan River is the only restriction you got.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Even when I suspect it's spot. The way those fish act, I feel like.
Yeah,
for sure.
The way they swim on shorts up there. Yeah. We know guys who fish that a lot. And they have time. So at least today they have made it there. My biggest concern is sharing short balls. They are a little bit tougher fisheries for your average weekend angler.
Yeah.
Because the way they fish, you're not going to go out there and 100 fish on those days.
No.
And that's what scares me. Because these guys go to Gaston or hear about Gaston. They got these spotted bass and I can go catch 100 fish in a day.
Yeah.
But they don't think about the damage to the fishery. Oh,
Yeah.
native one.
Yeah, I know there's a lot of talk about gas right now. I don't think it's gonna be good for them.
I don't know.
So, especially getting kids. Passage.
Because it is really good.
Yeah.
5 years.
Yeah.
That's what my
By
concern is.
2030.
At some point, that honeymoon is going to end.
Yeah.
A lot of guys don't
It's
like
about-
to hear that. They want to argue.
I mean,
but
I was about 10 to 12 years. I mean, I remember like
that's
7 years ago, gas. Maybe 10 years ago, gas was like, stop. 5 years. years.
Yeah. It's fun. Our staff talking about I wondered that was all.
Well, especially with the spray.
Yeah, they're tightening down on that. I had to give a like Gaston. They're trying to do this thing for everybody involved.
I will say, if you want to be public on this, well, you hear stuff. Why would I drill it? I ain't.
I'll tell you that, like, man, what they did to the eel crab was so really crazy.
Dude.
Yeah. Broke my heart.
Yeah.
Why?
Well, that actually
Is eel
wasn't.
non-native?
It wasn't a native, so I'm scared of grass. But we now have native grass in our greenhouse.
Yeah, I'm gonna tell you right now.
That's in the works.
Let me take it right where it needs to be. I'd stretch.
Yeah, or that could, y'all could probably have to back on.
I think it
definitely.
We could go for a whole.
You know, it's like actually aquatic vegetation probably the number one thing that most guys talk about. We will bring that in. Because tournament anglers are different than recreational, especially. And I wanted to ask you this. I don't know if you have any information. But tournament anglers are equipped with the best technology out there. So they have a different perspective. They're always worried about the size of the fish, and so on and so forth. Recreational anglers are just trying to go out there and have time. But they will always talk about like Drilla, which is non-native. There is a native version of it, right?
Not necessarily how to know. Couldn't tell who it was.
Okay. So there's native coontail, there's native eelgrass, water willow can be native, right?
Yeah. There's a lot of that. No, it might be one of the native.
Lily pad, right? Dollar pad, lily pad,
We have a lot of that.
right? So, that kind of stuff you always hear in Kill vegetation. And I'm one of them in some of
They
these.
did finish. They didn't start. It's a great breakdown on there and the vegetation history there. That I implore anybody that isn't just blind with anger at NCWRC, unwarranted anger, to go listen to what really happened to Sharon. We try to share it, and then they end up yelling at us about being moved.
Yeah.
But they're trying to share the facts.
Big caveat there is, we have no state limits. The state doesn't own any of those programs. They're Duke Energy, Corps of Engineers, so we really don't control what happens in every aspect of it.
I think people need to understand too, like there's a lot of Florida anglers, obviously northern anglers, a lot of natural lakes up there, vegetation is plentiful and stuff like that. Florida anglers, they deal with, FWC, like spraying and stuff constantly. But one of the things that's for you North Carolinians, like Florida waters are constantly flowing and a lot of them are tidal and stuff like that. Like there's stuff that's always moving in those lakes. There's so much vegetation that like the reason why FWC a lot of times sprays is because there is such a thing as too much vegetation. It can choke out a lake. It can kill off things when it dies. There's a whole bunch of effects, negative effects that can happen from it, and we don't have those kinds of fisheries here. Closest thing we have is like the Roanoke River, Albemarle South, Hamilton, and stuff like that, right? So don't get your panties all in a bunch when there's not a lot of vegetation. Understand why there's not a lot of vegetation. I did want to ask you this. Maybe you have zero information. Have we seen the increase of tournament anglers on the water or all anglers on the water for the use of technology having effect on the fisheries?
No, I don't even think we see that crappie fisheries.
Okay.
Yeah. Now that probably could happen with the crappie fisheries because that's a lot of harvest there. But as long as bass fishermen keep fishing, we'll never see population. Because those fish are not leaving.
Sure. And then to go off of that, for the bass anglers, the guys that are catching release, what is your advice to them on releasing versus a healthy harvest? Like, are we releasing too many fish back in the lake?
That's very more specific, probably. But across the board, we could probably say, yeah. I'd say keep 3 out of every 10, 14 entries you catch, pretty much across the board. That's someplace to be 10 out.
Yeah.
But minimum 3 pairs.
Yeah.
Keep
Yeah.
it 14 inches.
Yeah, for sure. If it was in the slot prior to the slot going away, keep all the slots now. That not protect.
I think it's important for people to understand that. Obviously, Ray Scott and founder of Bass and stuff did a great job with that. But like everything has a shelf life, and so the amount of bass that are in our lakes can over compete with the other bass.
They can,
Talking about
especially
the F1s.
the predator.
Correct.
Nothing that creates them that small.
I can tell you that your mudfish, your both of them stuff are not out competing the bass, right? So specifically how they relate to structure in shallow water and stuff like that. So if you're worried about keeping 5, 14 to 16-inch bass, you think it's like a detriment to bass fishing. Like you're not, you're just wrong.
You're potentially being more detrimental.
You're-
not.
Exactly.
There's no, yeah.
And I'm guilty of that too, right? I'll be the first person to say I don't even like to eat fish out of our lakes. But if you're a fish eater and you love to fry up some crappie, like you can fry up some bass the same exact way, right? Like it's no harm, no foul. Eat it. It was,
They don't actually taste that good.
yeah, they actually don't. I mean, you could deep fry a dog turd and it probably tastes the same, but like still, like I just think that there's been such a bad name given in the England community to those who like to keep and consume bass versus those that are catching them, right? So like it's not a bad thing for a bass fishery in certain fisheries.
Yeah, where you have high tournament pressures, where that gets, because the tournaments are, there is some fish that they might swim away from that way, but they might not survive over the gap. So anywhere we have a lot of tournament pressure, marks off.
As a tournament angler yourself, what is, in your opinion, and it could be out of your district, what is the most pressured tournament? What is the most tournament pressured lake? God, yeah. I
Yeah,
knew
they
that.
have like.
Yeah. So Lake Norman, one of the least fertile lakes.
Yeah.
One of the larger lakes,
Yeah, it's the largest spot.
taken over by spots.
Yeah.
Probably not a good place to keep. You can legally,
Keep the spot.
probably not the best lake to keep largemouth bass on.
Probably not.
Probably.
I definitely keep the spots before I get bugs around that area. Yeah. But it's not gonna. Everything population here, there's gonna be small.
I mean, there's a Creole limit for ovaries.
Yeah.
Go on to North Carolina Outdoors app.
Yeah.
Right? You can download it on your phone, download it on your computer. You can look at all the fishing regulations on there, all the hunting regulations, all the news updates, everything that is going out with next stipulation.
Right. Yeah, there's a few rare exceptions, but it's usually 5 fish for largemouth. It's 5 fish with 2 each side.
Okay.
So that 2 each size of the 2 will like people to take home. So it'll probably be small. But you don't want to harvest. You want to make sure.
You don't want to take that 7.5 pounder off the bed.
Yeah, so there's less fish.
Yeah.
You know, right there, 'cause there's lots of fish, they don't-
That's where I
Yeah,
get
so
emotionally
that-
involved. I get emotionally involved.
Oh, yeah.
Not that they're wrong, but I get emotionally involved. I see all the 7.5 pounder.
For the road, trying to build. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you can do it.
And it's reservoir specific. Some reservoirs is a really rare fish. You really don't. But at Jordan, it's probably not nasty. Right. Because there's so many. Super big.
And it's the same. I think it's the same. Everybody asks that pressure questions, but I think it's also relative to the water. Because if you look at per acre, Jordan's got 2 tournament series. They've got at least 2 buried at every ramp on the weekend.
And it's still,
It's still coming out, but I mean, that's a lot of pressure. So like, we probably don't want to keep a bunch of fish from in addition to tournament.
And we've seen that hit average Joe this year. I've got so many calls about fishing this year. And I don't think it's anything with the population. It's just enough pressure.
Yeah.
Do you think it's related? Okay, so the fishing being tough, like, is the fishing being tough for guys that aren't using forward-facing sonar? Because, like, look, I am one of those. I love both hitting the bank and hitting the shallows, but I also love going out and scoping and stuff like that. And listen, like the tournament side of bass fishing, the weights are just getting so much better.
Yeah.
But that's because guys are accessing and targeting fish that really are just bigger and in areas that the OGs are used to casting at the bank in the Carolina rig, and you're just catching 3-pounders, and guys are catching 8, 9, 10-pounders.
You know, I think it changed probably around.
Yeah.
Because I remember, I think you and I went out that one night. Maybe it wasn't that one. It's fishing here. They're not where they're supposed to be.
Okay.
Yeah, you hear that.
I've heard that.
It's been like that for 3 or 4 years. And even like times I've gone out, I'm sure you find, like OG spots, here after here.
Yeah, they're not.
They're not quite OG spots.
Yeah, that could be more habitat related. Well, we've had several clubs come through that lane that probably scoured out some of the habitat. Yeah, I'm sure a lot of the brush piles do. This summer, the flood came at a really good time. So I bet the fish were freaked out when it went up like 19 feet high.
Yeah, dude, it was forever high too.
Yeah.
For like 3 weeks, the lake was hot.
I think.
So Falls too. Falls the same exact way.
Yeah. So
I mean, even Harris got hot. And that's weird.
this summer, they're probably.
I got a question for you. So we're talking about DNA samples. You know, there's been studies at Toledo Bend. There's been studies up north with tagging.
Yeah.
Do you guys tag NCWRC? Do you guys tag to look at like migratory patterns of fish?
Yeah,
Really?
follow the white bass through the Falls Lake for years. That report on it, they got
No kidding.
Yeah. So we followed them basically from February to June. Followed the white bass at Falls Lake.
Out of the 80 hunters.
There were mature adults.
Okay.
Check them all with the,
Okay.
They did, yeah, but post happenings. That's why we goes through everything back. Ocean. Post happenings, that.
Okay. And that's risk. I'm gonna give that text.
That's the
I
one.
remember that.
Speaking of white bass, I think before we started, you said it's white bass stuff.
That was it, yeah. So, I'm writing that up right now. They do maps and graphs and that.
No.
You probably can email me to get it great for you.
How do they compete well with largemouth?
They do, yeah. They're more of a some predators. They're not even shad. They're eating a lot of roads. Things that have trout.
So is there any, so if an angler goes out there, any of us or any goes out there and catches a tagged fish, is there anything that they should do with that?
No, I'll bet this fish are all good.
Oh.
Yeah, because we take the last of them.
Okay. Oh, okay, I got you. So no largemouth tag,
Not yet. No.
no spots.
There's potentially a project on spots.
Yeah, I'd be interested to see if you guys tag the spots to see what their migratory look like, Taba or
Yeah, it's probably gonna be a melt. Explore.
yeah.
But that's still it. So,
It'd be interesting to you're on or maybe before like if there was spotted bass.
It's so
yeah, I don't know if that's true anymore.
Dude, that is not
So
true.
it would be interesting to see like
When you're catching spots on frogs in the grass, dude, like,
Yeah.
come on. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're
I'm
catching.
worried about that.
Well, and this happened last weekend. Like, I literally caught a spot that was like 370, like weight wise, and then turned around and caught like a 3-pound largemouth in the same exact area right on the grass. Right? Like, they are. And maybe it's only certain times of the year. Right? Maybe those largemouth are 100% resident. Maybe those spots are only up there because they're feeding on because they have to feed on. They are feeding.
most likely.
There's
Yeah.
no way they're not, right? crawfish, right? So like it's just really interesting to see, but I'd love to see everything that we talk about is associated with money. Like there's money for tag, there's money's needed for tag, money for aquatic vegetation, so on and so forth. Nothing's free 99. So if you want to donate money, donate to NCWRC.
Yeah,
You
kind of already are, so I guess we can talk about how we fund it.
Yeah.
So, Sport Fish Restoration Act was passed in the early 60s. So basically, if you go, a lot of it's motorboat. Real, like if you go buy a rod and reel bass pro shop, 10% of that set goes to the federal government. I think it's first back to states based on the number of licenses we state. Okay, so it's more important than not fishing licenses. You know, a lot of kids, and all in law, everybody. More licenses, etc. More money. So, all the things, licenses.
Well, you need to buy a fishing license anyways.
Yeah.
Or
So do
also,
that.
you know, OneCast Fishing make that tax. How much more OneCast?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Ben, I bet Ben, you know about that better than anybody. You have to write that check. Yeah, so,
I'd love to see how much the feds actually give back.
and then,
Yeah.
I bet most manufacturers probably pass that. Sometimes it's for sure.
So it's hard to do. Not supposed to. So like getting initial prices, 10%, but then also, you know, depending on that increase the price. So,
Yeah.
never really fully pass it on.
You can, I know some companies try to recruit higher than like sort of just try to, but to Ben's point, like you're still paying a higher rate because you're breaking the way you set up to the market capacity. Where you really see it passed is not we get it. There's ways that they found that don't directly affect the consumer, but they're able to work some of the benefits they think they can pass those costs to them. There's different ways to work around it, but they try. Again, that's a whole different business thing.
Yeah.
So that's sure. So the white bass and the Eno,
How do like that support?
Yeah, there's some white perch dynamics there.
Yeah.
Where they're spawning in the same areas, the same places. Like
Spots.
yeah, pretty much. Yeah, on a smaller scale.
It can be a ton. I'm sure like Luke or something. Or
I'm not.
there's some good ones like
Yeah,
There is a difference, folks, between a white bass and a white.
yeah, for sure.
It can be hard at small sizes.
Sure.
Oh, no.
I guess yeah. It's a white bass straight with high.
How are the stripers look for you? They haven't
No, they're probably not. Yeah, they're still there, really.
Wow,
They're
they're
still, them fish are getting old, but they're still okay.
I mean, it's, I guess
They're,
Well,
it's been a
almost 6
year
years old.
or maybe 18
I
months.
did-
I caught like 5.
I didn't catch any this year.
I never tried for sure.
Oh, 100%.
Small ones?
I caught
They
two.
weren't big enough to take off.
Not last summer, the summer before. I caught two giants. I mean,
Yeah, that was
I never
Yeah.
caught one.
yeah. And I haven't caught a small one, and
It might be.
I think the last one I caught a small one was probably 20. I put 21 somewhere around there. I caught one of the 18 inchers on a flooded timber. But I think the big schools of the smaller fish are done.
Yeah, we haven't stopped since 2020. So
Okay.
2020 was the fingerlings last week.
Okay.
No more plants.
No, that lake was summer water quality. That lake is no longer striking.
Too hot?
Too hot, too stagnant.
You want to go striper fishing? The best place that I would say
Sorry.
is par, or
Yeah.
cur, or bugs, whatever you want to call it. Or
Yeah.
Gaston
is the
has
highest stock rate in the state.
If you want
has
to
now-
leave, go here. Go to Lake Bird. My God.
Yeah, Ernest did.
I've never seen anything like the train I experienced straight
He's got a
out.
bunch.
Like catching on Alaska.
Oh yeah, harbor stop. I'll throw out
Gray
another.
and I caught them on top.
Yeah.
A spoon came
I had
out.
I had a bruise in my.
Yeah, I've still got fin marks in my hands.
Yeah, it was sad.
It was one of the most ridiculous things.
But you need to know the laws when you go
Yes.
do that stuff because there are certain times a year where you catch 5,
You
you're
got
done.
to keep the first 5.
Yeah, summertime, that's typically summer mortality. Because once you catch them in summer, they're not going to survive.
You know,
Yeah. So
So-
it's typically-
But yeah, Gaston
Which is why they're not
both sides.
and you still see
So
people
hard.
out there trolling for them. I think they're trolling. They could be
I
trolling
joined
for white bass.
strike.
Yeah.
And that's what a lot of that.
I'm
I don't know if they're catching.
I had a lot of conversations with them about maybe bringing some hybrids back. I don't know if that would be sustained.
I think the hybrids would do okay.
Did the guy reach out to you?
We've had them in
Yeah,
a
they
lot of. We have the hybrids up north of quite a few reservoirs that I mean, we don't get 90-degree water temps, but they get stagnant. So I think if they can survive the high water temps, they can do well. The high
Yeah.
temps. And there are a ton of them to catch.
Yeah, there's also an escape concern.
Yeah, but they don't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If the straight was run up, all the way up point,
Yeah.
it was just a 6 mile.
But I get what you're saying.
So is there, we talked about the F1 bass reduction and how that's going. It seems to be going very well. Yes, of course, doing your studies over the next 5 years. We talked about some aquatic vegetation stuff. We talked about the Alabama spotted bass. Is there anything else invasive wise or things that recreational and tournament anglers can do to protect our waterways? Let me ask the question. Is there anything invasive that we're seeing that may be new that's going to hurt any of our waters?
Yeah, we've had a few flare-ups of those, but luckily they won't confirm with some, just like a board.
What was the one, I think it might have been last time?
I'm not sure of the dynamics there.
Okay. Yeah, I want to bring that up.
Yeah.
It's obviously educational for everyone. So like, hey, is there anything we look out for? Obviously, don't be a bucket biologist and dump spots or any fish. Any fish. Don't take white perch, white bass, largemouth, spotted bass, catfish. Don't dump them.
Yeah.
Wipe your boat down after you use it in a lake. If you're going to do like the trifecta, like I like to do a lot of times. It's like, oh, Jordan Harrison, the same day. Like it sucks, like one of them. Wipe your boat down. Right? Spray it into your live boat, into your boat.
I know it gets contentious with this blue cat.
Really.
Yeah, and those are a great competitor for largemouth. They're a lot of the same shad.
I can attest to that. Last weekend, I caught a 45+ pound blue cat at Gaston in a school. I'll show you the down scan.
Yeah.
These fish are schooling like you would see a school of spotted bass or largemouth, and there's no bass in sight, and they are just gorging.
That's what happened with me on water.
I mean,
I'm going to spoon out there trying to get these got to be bass. And
dude,
finally I catch one. It was not bass.
and he was so heavy. I'll show you the picture after the show. He projectile pooped all over me when I caught him out of like 15, 18 foot of water. And it was the biggest catfish I've ever caught in my life. Now, Gaston's always had big catfish.
Yeah.
But I've never seen them school like they have been schooling on Gaston. Right? And so those are another great fish to keep.
Yeah.
Right?
Keep them all.
Keep them all.
Well, that's one of the lakes that has the special trophy.
Oh.
Don't keep them long, guys.
Don't keep them all. Yeah, consult your regulations. Yeah.
Download the app.
That's what the record happens for, right?
No, the records out of Roanoke. Yeah, they caught the same guy caught it back to back. Like, within a month of each other. Set the record.
I was talking to someone the other day who had the record. Like I remember 2013, fixed.
It had to be like 110.
Yeah, it was like literally back-to-back weekends, or like every year, something was pretty deep. The record, one was like a nice little sport, like on the dock. Like,
And that's
Currently 127.
so the last I knew, like, yeah,
that fish was probably one of the last of that original total.
And that beat his record from a month earlier of 121,000 ounces.
That was right.
So he upped it by 6 pounds.
Right before that population plateaued and they're competing against themselves.
That was 2022.
So I doubt we'll see that record. So that's
where are they talking about?
Florida?
I think we've seen them out around sound there. We've seen them. I can't.
They're gonna
Yeah, so the blue cat, especially for the coastal fishers, the blue cats. Out.
yeah. I mean, same thing.
Hey,
This broad
Barry, plenty. If anywhere in the state has enough fish, I can tell you that.
Yeah, for sure.
This just reminds me of a question I want to ask. Like,
And you're seeing that just betting on TV.
Oh, really?
I think I have some hard bait on that.
They do, and it's an issue. It's kind of an issue.
Well, probably the
Stripers.
crab population too.
Not so much, but the crab, but also the stripers and some other sport fish. I got plenty of fish. Yeah, it's gotten really bad. Yeah.
so how long does it take, invasive fish to get in the water? Now, just if you go west, you got northern, orange string, type of spotted bass, smallmouth, largemouth, they can really mention each other, however long. We've seen flatheads, spotted bass come here in the 60s. Seems kind of like now it's all part of it. It's kind of like out for sure. So like, how long is this process going to take for like spotted bass get into the lake to kind of like
Probably about 4 generations. For most black bass, that's 12 years per generation. That's about
For a long ways away.
Yes.
And that's an it.
I don't even think we've seen the Savannah chain in yet. I think it's still doing pretty well.
And that's an it. Yeah, there's no guarantee of it. Because we don't know. As far as you know, those states you're talking about, they have always been together. For as long as we have modern scientific data collected, they've been together. At some point, what was that, 3, 4, 5, 600? Like nobody, that's the thing, we don't know how long ago that introduction was made.
Actually,
Who made it.
this to be an interesting topic. They actually kind of do know when all these species come off. They just go ahead and now.
Yeah, y'all get into that.
So I go
I am all about it, but
I go down that rabbit hole a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah,
For sure.
I think it's important. We got a lot of buddies. I mean, I believe 50% of what I see in barrel anything I hear, but I think that's very subjective when it comes to a lot of things. Like, a lot of our buddies don't believe that, like Gaston, right? They don't believe that it's going to happen. Stuff. And some guys are like, oh yeah, it's in the honeymoon phase. I think a lot of lakes obviously are sick. Most of them are. They don't phases and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But those phases last so long that a lot of guys maybe don't see the effects in their entire lifetime, right?
Yeah.
Or they get too old and they can't fish anymore, right? It starts to get better or starts to get worse, whatever. And I think it's important for the anglers that are listening, specifically tournament anglers too. Like, just because you don't see it doesn't mean it's not real. And a lot of times, like, we don't know what we don't know, right? So we have no idea how something is going to react when it's introduced to a lake, right? We have a good theory on it, but until it happens, we don't really know. But the precautions are there to say, hey, don't introduce crap that doesn't need in our waterways. Just don't do it.
The larger system is the longer.
For sure. For sure.
The Savannah lakes are 55 to 62,000 acres. I don't think it has the that's in there to see it. All of it.
In Lake Norman, everyone wants to use Lake Norman as an example of how the spots have destroyed it. But Lake Norman's also the least fertile lake. Lake Norman's also the largest outside of bugs, right? Lake Norman is vastly different than Lake Gaston, and so on and so forth. So, like, they're all going to have their own attitude towards spotted bass and everything else.
And
Right?
we get in this debate with people. I think one of the biggest issues I have with the arguments that they only look at North Carolina. They don't realize that we have repeatable data from states outside of North Carolina.
Yeah.
So you do have some solid supporting information. You can almost with absolute certainty say we have 50 lakes that have the same nutrient load. This is happening. This is happening. All 50 lakes. It's gonna happen. There's
I just
almost no
wonder-
way for it to not.
And part of me doesn't believe that because of the weather, because of the physical surroundings of each lake, the chemicals that are introduced in each lake, how the water runoff is, like, all of that stuff is such a variable. And I get what you're saying, but at the same time, like, you can't compare Gaston to a lake in South Carolina or Florida or
Yeah,
Georgia.
100% true.
You can't even compare it to the lake next to it a lot of times because of how different everything is. Look at all the pharmaceutical companies that are popping up around. Look at all the housing developments popping up around. Like, there's so many different variables, and I understand what you're saying, and I agree with it to an extent, but I also think, like, you almost have to avoid it. You know what I mean?
I see that. But
Yeah.
you make it pretty educated.
Yeah.
It is. I'm not.
Yeah, for sure.
If 50 lakes with 50 different loads, all the same nutrient load with 50 different runoff patterns and happening all 50, it's pretty solid at 51.
Yeah, I mean, based on
It's based on a
absolutely.
statistic. We're at 100%. But there's always those aberrant, like those things that are that one. There's a 1 in a million chance of that. Right? Like that could be the one.
That's
We
the
don't
line
know, but it's
That's
still.
the line of virus.
And I know that's the argument. They're like, hey, we don't know because there's no other Gaston, but there's 100 lakes just like Gaston. It happened in the 100 lakes up to this point. So is the 101st being Gaston to be the one that doesn't? I don't know, but you can be a pretty safe bet that the honeymoon phase is going to end up, and that's the one that a lot of guys are very passionate
It is.
because it's so good. And it really is really good right now.
I mean, look at bugs, man. Like, bugs is effective, right? At the same time, bugs is pumping out some of the biggest weights it's ever seen.
Yeah.
With
Yeah.
large,
Yes.
but it's also created 3 citation spots in 2025.
Yeah.
So what's happened? You know what I mean? Like,
2002 Harlem.
exactly.
Right.
Right?
We're Harlem, correct. 2002 Harlem right now.
Hartwell, and even those fish last year had like a terrible virus going on. Or something like that, where they were like deteriorating on the side,
Oh, that was 2 years ago.
or 2 years ago.
They got it to be. They ain't right. Like I'm not saying, but there was never, like I did a lot of looking, and there was never anything by any agency that was like, hey, there's something up. Like that was just like these fish are all beat up, so about a disease. Could just be the fish were beat up because they had 97 400 boat high school tournaments down there last year. You know, those fish could have just been beat on.
Sure.
But like if you look at Hartwell now, they're that honeymoon phase is over.
It's starting.
It's starting to get
It's starting to change.
The weights are dropping. You're not seeing those largemouth. Even the big spotted bass aren't turning up like they were. Like, and I just like I think it's coming eventually.
I think it will.
But I think also the one thing Bucks has going for it is the amount of shallow water cover things they have there. I feel like that's a lake where the largemouth can keep longer and maybe stave off that drop. You'll still have that largemouth up.
How long if you go all the way back to high school ball and all the Case Lake and the Mars Lake and JC, ones that
I
Yeah.
So
there's certain species that just they want to produce as much of themselves as they can.
Yeah.
They don't care about
and that's a spot about
individuals, and that's your animal. Whereas your largemouth is less, put a lot more individual. Maybe they're surviving offspring.
So, and producing.
So the spot's just gonna hump and dump. They're gonna
Yeah.
produce a whole bunch of
Yeah.
babies,
They'll still be.
and then they knowing that if you
Yeah.
make 100,000, 20% is gonna survive, and we're just gonna keep.
Yeah. Yeah, and
Yeah.
I think that's what you're seeing. That's
They're just dumping
they're
their
not
eggs.
dry guarding.
We've made enough that some of you will survive.
Yeah.
The species will be fine.
Yeah, it's like the infantry.
Basically, yeah. March them out there. What losses are acceptable?
Yeah. That is interesting. I want to just.
I remember that.
Yeah, it's comparing blueback herring spotted bass.
Yeah.
Compared to blueback herring spotted bass.
Yeah.
How that affects society.
In both
Yeah,
Gaston
yeah,
and
connections
Boat.
down there.
The amount of shad we had.
Is that ever a
That's the
fear?
crazy thing.
Is that ever a fear from the biologists here in North Carolina? Is the shad population?
No, well, Brent Ben's because there's cold. Yeah, that'd be cold shot really. So they'll add the flow out and there's good. Dark chips.
There's so many.
It-
How would I know the difference?
And both or Carr and Gaston both have.
Horizontally,
Yeah, they do.
Gaston does?
Yes,
Yeah. I knew Carr had some certain parts.
they're only in certain parts of
They Gaston too.
Yeah, Gaston and Carr relate similar on the southern clear ends of the lake where blueback herring will do their thing. Now they're not the same.
It's not like Murray.
like Murray, right?
No.
There is a blueback herring spawn in Big Nutbush Creek, right?
Yeah.
And there is a blueback herring spawn down towards like Jimmy's and Summit Landing and stuff like that. But it's not nearly
Much
as
smaller scale.
much smaller.
Fish aren't traveling
Right.
from the north to the
Yeah.
south.
In fact, I had a spot spit up in blueback herring when I was fishing, all
Yeah.
over my boat, right?
Okay.
But you
I didn't
have
know
it.
there was.
Yeah.
Those might be, not native to the lake, but the dam was there.
100%.
That's right. Gotcha. So there's an argument, those are kind of a native species. Like,
Yeah. Our fisheries are so important to all of us here. We're hitting that hour and 20 minutes, and we definitely want to bring you back on. We want to talk about aquatic fishes. I want to talk to
just,
DNA. That'd be cool.
just what the, that's what the-
I think
Really?
we need like every other month Seth Mycko.
Hey, let's do
Where's
it.
this green?
Bring in, we'll talk
Yeah.
about something.
Science and stuff.
Let's, can we take it forward?
Science and
Yeah,
stuff.
sure. Let's take it forward. It's fine.
Yeah, that'd be really cool. So before we jump, so science with that. Science with that. I think that's great.
Yeah.
That's
Once a
say
month.
that.
Once a month, we'll have time to Seth Mycko.
Yeah. That would be great because, we do have so many local North Carolina anglers that listen to the show. To learn about what's going on. We also got meet up like, why don't we talk about like local tournaments and stuff? Yeah, whatever.
Yeah,
We'll talk about this. Right.
just for the folks out there, don't be scared to go involved. We're on your team. I know there's some good customers that have grown, especially on some of the smaller ones that are.
We're building that, like, not a issue, but it's just a dichotomy. There's a lot of us personally everywhere, right? And we gotta work together.
I mean, just look at Colin.
Yeah.
Look, if you want to talk to Seth, even if you're not District 5, DM me. I've had multiple conversations. I have his work, so then I will send it to you.
Right.
If they say no, I'll get you, and he is more. I've connected him with several people already to have a conversation and ask your questions. And see that they are on our side. And I think Corey spent an hour in our booth last year at the Raleigh show talking to Seth
Yeah.
and just educating.
we
him
are.
and having-
It was Seth. He was.
It was the Gigantopithecus. He was all worked up about Gaston and go.
Oh, okay.
I'm not surprised.
But yeah, me personally, I'm
Yeah.
Yeah.
But throughout the state, we're all on the same team. We're all on the same team. For sure, that's that. Body.
So I did send that. Just one. Brad called up. I think we may see it.
Oh my gosh. And they are, this is why you're after the fact, but they are on it's goose stock, right? Like stock. But
Oh, really? Okay. Where are they fishing?
So, but we can talk after the show. But before we end this, guys, do you have anything for Seth? Any last questions or anything like that? Seth, you got any advice that you want to put out to the anglers or the fishing community in general?
Habitat's where it's at. It's not all,
I like that.
And there is habitat under the grass.
Well, we appreciate you coming here and joining us in the OneCast studio and making the evening with us. We're going to bring it back on to talk about more of our fisheries and biology and keeping our stuff healthy for generations to come and help us continue growing culture for the next podcast.
That's a good one. That's a good one. Oh God, it's a toad, son. It's a toad, dude.
Let's go. I wake up to a little bit of drool on my pillow, feel like it's gonna be a bad day.